What is up, everyone from the podcasting world? Anthony here from the Amigos Podcast, and today it is just me doing a solo episode on the new Dragon Ball Super superhero movie. Now, I would love it to have been the three of us together, but Frankie is currently on his honeymoon, and I don't think Chris is interested in seeing the movie. So I am doing a solo episode, and I'm going to do two parts of this video. The first part is going to be just like a first impressions of the movie, like a review of the movie, and then I'm going to do a spoiler section on the second half. And bear with me right here in this video because I sound like I just woke up, and I kind of just did wake up. I saw the movie late last night, and I wanted to get my thoughts together on my iPad so I can go over them and talk about this movie for you guys. Now, normally a movie like this has in the past been, I believe, like a very limited time release, so I don't know if they're doing the same with this one or if it'll be in theaters for a little bit longer. And I gotta say, this movie was very interesting. Not saying that in a bad way, but I'm also not saying that in a 100% great way. So let me just start with the first impressions of this movie, the review of the movie, and kind of how I felt watching the movie. Now, just some basic information on the plot of the movie, this is stuff that they talk about in the trailer for the most part. It is kind of like a father-son movie between Gohan and Piccolo. Now, I've been a fan of Dragon Ball Z for many years. I've started watching it as a kid during the Saiyan saga back when it was on Toonami. I didn't really get into Dragon Ball, but I am kind of getting back into that now because it's on Hulu. Dragon Ball GT sucks major balls. No pun intended. And Super has been pretty interesting when I went through Super. So, in the trailers, they do show you that this movie is primarily focused on Piccolo and Gohan. Now, I used to be a fan of Piccolo back in the day. I'm more so of a Vegeta fanboy right now. But this movie kind of did bring Piccolo back to a new level of badass, you know. Gohan, I've always hated Gohan. The only thing he ever did was defeat Cell back in the day. So this one did kind of help make Gohan a much better character in a very specific way. And I'm going to talk about that part later on in the spoiler section, okay? But this movie is primarily a Gohan and Piccolo movie. Yes, Goku and Vegeta do make an appearance, but it's not a very lengthy appearance. This is not a Goku Vegeta movie. This is a Gohan Piccolo movie. And the reason why I enjoy that part, the reason why I do love that is because throughout all of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, yes, you have all these creative characters and these interesting characters, but the focus is always on Goku and Vegeta. And of course, Goku always gets the win. There was a video I saw recently about how in Resurrection F, the Dragon Ball Super movie with Frieza, if you haven't seen it, spoilers right here for that movie, Vegeta almost got the win against Frieza, and he almost had his chance to finally get the win. And of course, Toriyama and whoever else is involved said, nope, fuck that. Goku was going to win and kill Frieza with some time travel bullshit that Whis does. Which I would have thought in that movie, Vegeta could have gotten the win against Frieza, because not only would it shows that Vegeta is making the progress that he is obviously making, and finally defeats Frieza, but it'll also be his chance to avenge his, his race, because Frieza blew up Planet Vegeta back in the day. So, it is pretty cool to see that they're actually using different characters now to, kind of shine and get their chance at victory. So going forward with this movie, the plot is basically the grandson of Dr. Gero, Dr. Hato. It's kind of like I think it's like a 15, 14-year-old kid who has like a PhD and an MD, and he gets recruited by Magenta, who I believe is the son of the former Red Ribbon Army leader. And he tricks Dr. Hito into believing that the Capsule Corporation is evil by using aliens, the Saiyans and Namekians, to try to one day take over the world. And he makes him believe that Bulma is also an alien. So he decides to design these two android superheroes, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, who do have a lot of personality and pretty interesting character. Just mainly personality is very interesting about them. As for character design, it's a very interesting design, but I guess for Dragon Ball's universe, it kind of makes sense. With the Dragon Ball universe, they kind of look like Great Saiyan in a way. So it would have been cool. I guess minor spoiler here, but we don't see Great Saiyan in this movie. That would have been kind of cool to see Great Saiyan fight the superheroes. But going on from there, Um, so essentially, what the plot of the movie beyond that is, they're trying to use these gammas to defeat the Capsule Corporation and the aliens involved. And Piccolo kind of goes on this like, spy mission, trying to find out everything he can and try to get in contact with Goku and Vegeta, but that fails with some. It's like a silly plot kind of thing that happened where they couldn't reach Whis on his planet. I won't get into that part right now, but the main thing I can say about this movie is what was interesting about it was, number one, they did a new 3D animation style for this movie. Now, initially when I heard about that, I thought, well, if Goku and Vegeta won't be in this movie as often, wouldn't it be kind of wasted to use this animation on characters that aren't Goku and Vegeta? Absolutely not. It was a great animation. Parts of it kind of reminded me of some of the Pokemon movies in a way, based on the animation style and how they went with it. But the animation style was pretty great, pretty interesting, and pretty amazing to look at on the big screen. There's a lot of humor in here, both somewhat adult humor and the normal humor of Dragon Ball. So that was pretty interesting to see, and a lot of interesting characteristics from the characters. I keep saying the word interesting, but that's all I can really say. Like, Piccolo definitely has had some changes, and he has some different personality differences. So that was pretty cool to see. Minor spoiler here, but Piccolo has an iPhone in this movie. Like, they gave Piccolo an iPhone, and he, called like Videl and Boma and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool to see. He FaceTimes them, so that was pretty cool. Other than that, with this movie, it is kind of like a love letter to the Android saga, being that you have the Red Ribbon Army and you have the androids that they're battling. With Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, they're basically androids, I believe. There was also a very minor hint here that apparently Android 21 from the Fighters game is now canon. I don't know if she was canon originally from the games, but she is now canon. I don't remember if she was Dr. Jiro's wife or if she was his daughter-in-law, and Android 16 is Jiro's son. They had a little family tree thing there, so I have to look that up because I don't really know exactly what the relationship is there. But in terms of a review for this movie, something that I want to rate this movie on, I gotta say this movie did kind of hit me as a surprise. I'm only gonna say it's like a 9 out of 10, primarily because while there were certain things that I personally did not agree with, this movie was a lot of fun to watch. It was very interesting. The actions were great. Even my sister was excited, and she was very engaged in the movie. My sister is not a fan of this series at all. We went as a family, me and my siblings and my brother-in-law and the nephews and everything, and so for my sister to enjoy this movie was pretty impressive. And that was from the humor all the jokes that they had, as well as all the action and the fight scenes. So yes, this is a really great movie for people to watch as a group or a family or something. Pretty fun, despite some of the not so much adult jokes, but they're like borderline getting on adult jokes there. So yeah, this movie is kind of like a 9 out of 10 for me. It would have been a 10 if they had other things that I'm going to talk about in spoilers, but I'm going to talk about spoilers after this really brief intermission here. So I hope you guys enjoy this part of the video or recording, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. But if you do want to see the spoilers, then stay here. I'm going to talk about spoilers and right after this one. But if you want to avoid spoilers, I'm going to say you stop the video right here and go out and try to watch the movie. It should be in theaters for a few more days or so. I remember hearing it was only going to be at AMC, but that's not true. I went to a Regal Cinema, so you might be able to find it at another theater that's closest to you. But yes, go check out this movie. It is awesome. Now, for people who are in other countries who are watching this, I know there's a website you can find, or you can just Google search it, where this movie is releasing in different locations at different time frames. So if it's not out in your area, look it up. It may be coming out soon, okay? So thank you guys for listening to this portion of the recording of the podcast episode. And now let's jump into the spoilers after this brief intermission. This episode of Three Amigos Podcast is sponsored by Sensu Beans. When you're in the heat of battle and you need a pick-me-up, grab a sensu bean, unless Korin is out, because what else is he doing besides making sensu beans? He shouldn't be out. He should have an unlimited supply of sensu beans, because all he does is make fucking sensu beans all day. Or they should use Shenron to wish for an unlimited supply of sensu beans. Back to the episode with the spoiler section. So, spoiler section here, and we're going to talk about as much as I can with the spoiler section, and I'm going to try to go in order of spoilers from what happens. I do have a list of things here. Now, the one thing I want to say about this movie is with Goku and Vegeta, they're very brief in the movie. They're just in the beginning, and they're on Beerus's planet, as always, training. And apparently they also brought Broly along with Chile and the other guy, I can't remember his name, from the last movie that they made. And essentially what they're doing is, I guess they're trying to train Broly to control his anger and keep him from losing control. The other guy, I can't remember his name, he's basically the chef, and Beerus decides to keep him on his planet as his primary chef. And then Chile, if you don't remember, she was the green girl who was, I guess, attracted to Broly in the last movie. Beerus has feelings for her. He's infatuated with her. And so he would do a couple things to like hang out with her and protect her from like getting wet from the water splash that Goku and Vegeta are causing. So they didn't really use this theme as much in the movie. So we may see something like that happen in the future. Now, with the past couple of movies, rather the God of Destruction movie, I can't remember what that one was called. And then the Resurrection F movie, those movies were the first ones to come out for Super, and then they turned them into episodes for the Super anime. So I don't know if they're going to do the same for the Broly movie and for this movie when Super does return. I believe it's coming back next year. Not too sure about that, because they are planning to get into the Moro arc later on down the road. But yeah, Goku and Vegeta are in this movie very briefly, and the plot between those two is they're showing Broly how to fight, and Whis tells them fight one-on-one. No transformations, no energy blasts, just two characters fighting one-on-one. And this is where we see a huge change for Vegeta, because Vegeta was training his mind by meditating on a rock. And Goku was like, asking him what's going on, with why are you going to sit there and get all stiff? And that's when Vegeta tells Goku, in the Tournament of Power, when they fought against Jiren, he said it wasn't that Jiren was a lot stronger than Goku and Vegeta. It was more so of how he was able to efficiently use his energy and his power without losing too much power, getting too tired. And that's what Vegeta was doing, training his mind to try to stay focused during a fight so he can efficiently use his energy, so he won't take as much damage and he won't use as much energy while he's dealing damage. So him and Goku do have to fight, and that's what Vegeta is planning on doing. And Whis even mentions, yes, there's a difference in how Vegeta is fighting. He's using more of his mind than his body, and there is a payoff to that in the end. That I'll get to that part in the end of the spoilers, because that's what happens at the end of the movie. Going on from there, this movie was primarily focused on, as I mentioned in the first section, Dr. Hito creating androids to be their superheroes, and Piccolo is training Pan currently. Pan is about 3 years old. She goes to preschool. So Piccolo's training her. He has a home, which there was a joke in Dragon Ball Z Abridged where Piccolo doesn't have a home, but he has a home, and he sends her off to preschool after the training is done, and he gets a call from Videl to pick her up from preschool. And this is where Piccolo has his iPhone and is covered in a like really cute phone case, like a teddy bear phone case or something like that. And apparently Videl keeps buying him plushie dolls, and she's like, oh yeah, I'll buy you another plushie if you pick her up, because I know you love them. And he's like, I don't love those things, stop buying me them. I live off of water, stop trying to offer me food because I don't eat or all that. So there's a lot of funny things, and you do get more backstory for these characters in terms of like things about them. Like Piccolo, I didn't know that he lives off of water only. And if he does love these plushies, that's something new. Other than that, with Piccolo, he has come a long way from his initial appearance from the old Dragon Ball, which we already knew that, but even more so now, kind of taking on that father figure for Gohan and Pan. But he does get angry at Gohan here, because Gohan has been researching some insects, and Piccolo is pissed off, and he yells at Gohan. He's like, you need to pick up your daughter from school. Why am I picking up your daughter? He even gives Gohan his the Piccolo outfit with the heavy cape, and he was like, if you're gonna do your study and you're gonna wear this to like weigh you down and try to do some minor training there. But essentially Piccolo is trying to help Gohan unleash his hidden power so that he can protect the world when he's needed, when Goku and Vegeta aren't around. And so with the Red Ribbon Army and Dr. Hito, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about with them specifically and what they kind of stolen from other movies. They did take some things from the Marvel movies, in my opinion. For example, the Red Ribbon Army base does have, it's like a cave, and there's a kind of like a portal or something that you walk through, and when you go through it, it's like a whole city, kind of like Wakanda from Black Panther when they go through the trees and it goes into that like portal thing, and then you see the whole like Wakanda. They kind of did the same thing here with the Red Ribbon Army. So for me, it was like, wow, that's really cool, but also, hey, I know where you got the idea from. You really can't deny it. That's clearly a Wakanda reference. And then there was one of the androids in this movie, one of the Gammas, who do die, and he does turn gray like Vision did when he died. And then he also, turns into like sparks of dust, kind of like when the Avengers and the people got snapped away from Thanos in an Infinity War. So they do take a couple of things from that movie. And you'll, of course, have, I don't know if you've seen it in the trailers, but when the Gammas were fighting Piccolo, or when one of them was fighting Piccolo, it was doing like the old Batman punch sounds, like kablam and all that stuff. So that is a borrow or an inspiration from the old Batman show. What was funny about it was when it was happening, Piccolo was like, "Why do I see his sound effects?" And that's pretty hilarious of them putting that in. They don't really explain why he can see it. I guess it was just a joke that they put in there. But going on from there, so the plot basically, as I mentioned in the first half of this video, was about the Red Ribbon Army tricking Dr. Hito into believing that the Capsule Corporation is evil and they have aliens, and he's trying to defeat them. And so Piccolo goes undercover at the Red Ribbon Army, and he's getting all the information, and he helps one of the guys kidnap Pan so that he can have her play along to act like she's scared, so that Gohan will see the footage of her being kidnapped and her being scared, so he can get really angry and attack and be able to fight. What was funny about it was when Piccolo goes to pick up Pan wearing the disguise, she recognized it was Piccolo based on his power level, whereas Gohan didn't recognize Piccolo at all. So it was kind of like Gohan had lost his fighting abilities. Despite having some really good fights in the Tournament of Power, Gohan has gotten soft again. So Piccolo's trying to get Gohan to be stronger because Goku and Vegeta won't always be around, and he needs Gohan to be ready for when another world-ending threat does happen. Now, the reason why Goku and Vegeta weren't around is because while they were fighting, Beerus, Chile, Whis, and whatever the other guy's name was eating ice cream, and they threw an empty ice cream container over Beerus' staff, so he couldn't see it flashing when Bulma was calling him. So they weren't able to get in touch with Goku and Vegeta. And that's okay, because like I mentioned before, this is about other characters, and we do see new transformations here for Gohan and Piccolo. So I'm going to get into that one in a bit. I just want to go over a couple more things in this movie. Beerus did have a love interest in Chile. They didn't really go over that too much, but he did have some feelings for her, so he's fine with her staying on his planet. As you may know if you watch the series, Beerus is very against people on his planet, and he allows the Saiyans to train. But one of the side plots here was with Bulma and the Dragon Balls. She's been having a team gather the Dragon Balls so that it can be kept from enemies like Frieza trying to use them. And Bulma uses them for cosmetic changes. Like, one of the adult jokes here was while she was looking for the communicator to contact Whis, they show like a camera angle from her ass, and she apparently would wish for a bigger butt, and she'll wish for like better eyelashes and less wrinkles. And Piccolo actually gets in her face about it, like, this is Shenron. You're using Shenron to wish for these, these changes when you could just do squats for a few days to get a bigger butt. So that was pretty funny of Piccolo to do that kind of thing. So with one of the things they did here was Dende actually makes an appearance, and Dende does upgrade Shenron again, and it was because Piccolo wanted to have Dende unlock his hidden power the way that Guru did it for Gohan and Krillin back in the Namek saga, the Frieza saga. But he told Piccolo he couldn't unlock the power because he didn't reach. It happens when you reach a certain age. So he upgrades Shenron so Piccolo can wish for Shenron to upgrade his hidden power and unlock his hidden power. And Shenron was actually pretty cool in this movie. He wasn't much of a dick because he was like, "Oh, you've summoned me," and "Oh, hey, it's you," and he talks to Piccolo. So he does unlock Piccolo's hidden power. I will get into that power unlock in a bit. Shenron does have a cool new animation when he grants wishes. Before, it would just be like the flashing light and the wishes granted. This one, he does kind of move around in a bit, so that was pretty cool. Shenron had a really badass entrance here, so that was pretty dope. And then after Piccolo wishing for his one wish, Bulma does use the other two for the cosmetics, and then they realize, wait, we could have wished for Goku and Vegeta to be teleported here. Well, it's too late now. So going on from there, here's one of my main problems with the movie. Kind of, I guess. So you do have the two Gammas, and they're kind of like the not exactly bad guys. They were just programmed to follow orders, and they're programmed to learn new things as they go along. And they were programmed to kind of be superheroes. So they kept saying, the Red Ribbon Army is good, and we're superheroes, and you guys are bad. And when they go to kidnap Pan, Piccolo was like, how are you guys good when you're kidnapping a little child? And how you're this and how you're that? So they do learn that they might have been on the wrong side. And one of the main villain for this movie, I guess what they ended up fighting at the end, was a new version of Cell. Cell does come back, but not in the sense that you would want it to. For some people, like when Frieza came back, he was brought back to life and he had a golden form. This is a robotic android Cell, kind of in the style of his second form, but also as a giant. He wasn't like normal size, and with his bug-like appearance and his giant size, it was basically a robotic version of also Hirudegan from a previous Dragon Ball Z movie. Hirudegan, if you don't know, was a giant monster who was cut in half and stored into the bodies of two different characters. I only remember one character, his name was Tapion. The other one was his little brother who was killed. That was the movie, I think it was called, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was like the Dragon Fist or something like that. But it's basically around the Buu saga that movie takes place, and Hirudegan was a giant bug creature. So they kind of did a Hirudegan type of thing with Cell. I would have loved to have Cell come back as Cell, with his personality, because Cell had a very fun personality in the Cell saga, but he's kind of like a mindless robot killing machine, and they said he had the power to destroy the planet because, he would just lose control. And the plot with the Cell, they call him Cell Max, by the way. The plot was Dr. Hito was telling Magenta, hey, Cell Max is not ready to be released yet because we haven't finished the programming for him to be able to follow orders. If we unleash him now, he's not going to listen to anything or anyone. He's going to destroy everything. And of course, Magenta gets pissed off because he's losing the fight to Gohan and Piccolo, and he gets killed by Dr. Hito because he has a little android bumblebee that can sting poison into somebody, and he unleashes Cell Max before he dies, and Cell Max comes out and attacks. Now, one of the funny jokes in this movie was Bulma comes on her ship with Goten, Trunks, 18, and Krillin. And she's like, hey, I brought the strongest fighters on Earth, and Krillin is here too. So it was a really funny joke at Krillin for, being weak, or, that joke of Krillin being weak. But one of the problems here was there was no Tien. Like, I don't care about Yamcha. Yamcha not being in the movie is fine. But there's videos out there about how Akira Toriyama hates Tien. He hates Ten Shinhan. What do you want to call him? Tien or Ten Shinhan is the same shit. But, yeah, no Tien. He gets treated like shit throughout all of Dragon Ball Z, and Super, mainly Super, he gets treated like shit. And no Master Roshi, but he would have been useless anyway. But Tien would have been cool to see. But when they go into the fight with Cell Max, because they do have a fight with Cell Max, and Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 do decide to help out because they understand where they went wrong. Piccolo and Gohan do get a new form in this movie, as I mentioned before. The new form for Piccolo happens during his fight with Gamma 2, before Cell Max was summoned, and he's calling it Orange Piccolo. He doesn't really have a name for it, and what it does is it turns him orange. It makes him a lot bigger, stronger, and faster. The back of his shirt gets a new logo, so that was pretty cool. I don't know how powerful it is because Shenron told him all you got was just a little bit extra. Now I don't know if that was Shenron's way of saying it's just a little bit, so do what you can with it, or kind of like a trick, like, oh, it's just a little bit, when in reality it's a lot, so use it and unleash that power. So we can potentially see Piccolo get stronger and stronger as the anime goes on, because as I mentioned before, we are seeing these other characters do get the spot to finally change and get stronger, and I want to see that happen. While I love Vegeta and I love to see Gogeta and Vegeta and all that, we do need these other characters to get pushed and get that power increased. So I do enjoy seeing that happening here. Going on from there with my list, the Cell Max. So they do fight Cell Max. Goten and Trunks do look a lot older. They try to fuse, but they mess up the fusion dance, so they become fat Gotenks. And all they are really useful for is making jokes. They actually had one part where they were bouncing him around like a pinball because Cell Max had a weak spot. The top of his head was a weakness, and if it gets damaged critically, Cell will then explode. So they use him to try to make a crack in Cell's head using fat Gotenks. And then at one point, Gotenks' pants is ripped, so his ass is showing throughout. So he's flashing his ass to Cell to taunt him and all that. Bulma had that adult joke earlier where they had a camera view of her ass while she's searching for the communicator for Whis. So another kind of like somewhat adult joke. And there was one where Dr. Hito and Magenta were in the car driving. The car was spinning out of control, and the camera angles from like their crotch facing up. So I don't know why they did these little jokes. They say Japan is weird, and so I guess that's kind of where the jokes came in. So they did have those somewhat adult jokes here and there, but not too many, which is good. But yeah, they do go to fight Cell Max, and Krillin tells Piccolo, "You got to become a giant like you did against Goku back in Dragon Ball." And so Orange Piccolo does become a giant to be one-on-one against Cell Max. And this is something else that they kind of borrowed. A lot of media, movies, and games and all that stuff have been kind of doing the whole kaiju battle thing. I think Godzilla vs. Kong was like the first one recently to do it again. Because, you have previous Godzilla movies and Pacific Rim and all that stuff. But Godzilla vs. Kong, I think, was the first one to start this whole trend of kaiju battles. So you have a giant Piccolo versus a giant Cell. And one thing that was interesting about this form for Piccolo was, because he even says, "Oh, I forgot that I can do that." But he tells them, "I can't get any stronger when I'm a giant. It's not a power increase, it's a bluff. It's to make you think that I'm a lot stronger just because I'm a giant." And that's something very interesting, because when a Saiyan becomes a giant ape, they become a lot stronger. Their power gets multiplied. So for the Namekians to not get a power increase from this is very interesting to see that that's a theme here now. We can now understand why they never do it. Piccolo did do his arm stretch ability. They had previously said this was a movie exclusive power up because it has been in previous Dragon Ball Z movies, but I don't think it's ever been in the anime where he stretches his arm. So I guess now, because the Super movies are technically canon, the arm stretch is now canon for Piccolo. Gohan does become Super Saiyan, and then he gets his that was a weird point. He gets his potential unlock thing from the Buu saga. He gets that back again, which I guess is stronger than Super Saiyan. But now he gets a new form. I don't know what it's called yet. Someone might know what it's called. He has red eyes and really long white hair, and it's pretty badass. And I'm happy to see that there's a new form for Gohan. I don't know if it's supposed to be some kind of relation to Ultra Instinct like Goku has. I don't think it is, because Gohan hasn't deserved that power-up yet because he hasn't trained to do it. But he does get that from seeing Piccolo taking the damage he took. It was almost as if Piccolo was going to die. But so Max Piccolo said, "Look, I'm going to stall him as much as I can. Just think about your family and everyone you want to protect and get the power-up." So when it looked like Cell Max killed Piccolo, that's when Gohan snapped and he turned into that new form. And he does a very, very badass special beam cannon to kill Cell Max. Piccolo had to hold him down and have Gohan take the shot. And there's a little joke at the end of that where he says, "What was that attack you used?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a special beam cannon." And he's like, "Well, where'd you learn it from?" And he goes, "I've been practicing it in private." And he was like, "Well, it was pretty good, it wasn't bad." So Piccolo just trying to have some pride, trying to act all tough, like, "Yeah, you did okay, but I'm the one who created the move, so I do it better." But it's clearly Piccolo's way of saying, "I'm proud of you, Gohan, and I'm happy to see that you used that attack and you learned it." So that was pretty great to see. I'm trying to think of other things we could talk about in the spoilers section. I don't really know. That's pretty much everything in the movie to talk about. Like I said, it was a very fun movie. Piccolo does have his spy section. You do see Yajirobe and Korin. They only had 2 senzu beans. Oh, so they only had 2 senzu beans. And Piccolo was going to give one to Gohan, but Gohan apparently lost his eyesight, or his eyesight is bad, so he does wear glasses, and he didn't have his glasses on, so Piccolo hands him one of the two senzu beans, and he drops it through a crack, and he loses it. And he's like, how did you drop it? He's like, oh, it's my bad. He goes, fine, no senzu bean for you, and he flies away with a senzu bean. He also makes a joke about Gohan, like, so when you turn Super Saiyan, does your eyesight come back to normal? I don't know why Gohan is losing his eyesight. He's half Saiyan, so they don't explain it. I don't know, but so there's that joke there. Yajirobe doesn't say anything. He just sits there. He stands there eating while Korin is talking to Piccolo. Piccolo did have a really cool, I guess he was wearing a Red Ribbon Army soldier outfit, so it did look kind of cool. I would love to see that in a game as an alternate costume. I want to see these other characters brought into future games, or if they get DLC for Fighters. I know Fighters is no longer getting DLC, but it'd be cool to add them to that game. Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are very interesting characters, very powerful. They use a pistol for their energy blast. They can't like shoot energy beams as far as I know. They can create like shields with their energy, so that was also pretty cool. But I want to see those two characters added to the games. Orange Piccolo, new Gohan's form. I want to see that added to the games as well. And Dr. Hito apparently has a skin upgrade where like he can take damage and not be killed. So like Magenta actually shoots him with a gun. Yeah, he shoots a kid with a gun and tries to kill him before he summons Cell Max, and he gets up and he's like, hey, remember my body can take shots from bullets and I won't die. He kind of looked like, so Dr. Hito kind of looked like Gru from Despicable Me, like a kid Gru, but with like a different hairstyle. And he spends the movie eating Oreos. And so that was kind of like a cute little kid being a really smart scientist. But it's amazing to see that he's a descendant of Dr. Gero. He's Gero's grandson. And at the end of the movie, he gets hired by Bulma to work at the Capsule Corp, and he's going to help her have less wrinkles, where it's going to look more natural. She doesn't want like a cosmetic plastic surgery. She wants that natural de-aging so she could look younger. That was another joke from the last movie with Broly, where I think she was wishing to look a little bit younger, whereas Frieza was trying to wish to look a bit taller from that movie. So by the end of it, Pan learns how to fly. That was one of the things Piccolo was trying to teach her. Learn how to fly before we can teach you Energy Blast. And then she flies to escape an explosion to get to safety. Goten and Trunks do the fusion dance at the end successfully, but they don't show you Gotenks. And the reason why I think that is because Goten and Trunks have gotten older and taller, so they would have to design a new Gotenks design or make the original Gotenks design look older. So that means they didn't do it. So we may see that in the future. We may see Gotenks in the future. Maybe he'll get a new form. That'll be pretty cool to see. Other than that, the end of the movie. So it ends with it might have been an end credit that happened. Goku and Vegeta are very tired and they're doing the last few punches to each other. And Goku drops first and he says, "All right, you got me." And Vegeta's like, "Yeah, I finally did it. I defeated Kakarot." And then he drops to the floor. And that was, I guess, a reference to the old Budokai games. If you defeated Goku with Vegeta in the old Budokai games, he would say, "Yes, I did it. I finally defeated Kakarot." And he finally gets the win against Goku. It's not the win that you kind of wanted to see with like explosions and power-ups, but Vegeta finally beat Goku in a fight. And that's, I guess, a win for Vegeta. So this movie was great in a lot of ways. The things that I didn't like about it were, I guess, minor. You know, no TN, which is minor, I guess. They did the Wakanda thing. They did the Infinity War snap thing with the character disappearing when he died. Cell Max had no personality. He was just a mindless killing machine, and he was a straight machine. Like, they break his arm off at one point, and you see the wires and electricity. So he's just a machine. He's not a organic type of thing like he originally was. And he did have his explosion with like the Fat Cell from the Cell Saga. So that does happen when his head gets cracked open. He explodes. But yeah, he was basically Hirudegarn, even with his like bug-like appearance with his wings. When Piccolo's trying to hold him down, he does flap his wings really fast to try to escape and fly away, kind of like something Hirudegarn would do, a giant bug creature would do. So yeah, that was kind of a couple of things I didn't really like too much, but the rest of the movie does make up for it. And I gotta say, this was a very fun experience. And I know this was a long episode. It's hard to make this episode short, but like I said, this is mainly, it's both first impressions and review, and then a spoiler section. So the spoiler section is the longest part. But let me know. Let us know when if you're gonna watch this movie. If you've seen it, this video will be up on YouTube and on Anchor and Spotify and all that stuff. So if you do see this, let us know in the comments. We would love to talk about it. I wish that the other guys would see this movie so we can talk about it together as a group. But I think I said everything that needs to be said about this movie. Also, Gamma 2 is the one who died, I believe. He sacrificed himself to try to defeat Cell Max, and it fails. And Gamma 1 gets hired as Bulma to do security for the Capsule Corp. But I don't see why they won't be able to wish Gamma 2 back with the Dragon Balls. Pretty simple thing in my opinion. Or Dr. Hito could just make another one. So we might see Gamma 1 and 2 appear in the future. That's my video for today. That's my recording for you guys today. Thank you guys for listening on this episode. And we hope to see you guys on the next one. We're doing some videos and we got some ideas and we're going to get them out to you guys. So thank you guys for the support. Thank you for listening to me on this one. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.